Welcome to Project 24/6. If church is Sunday, this is how to live life the other 6 days of the week. So today I'm going to talk to you about staying vigilant. One of the best things you can do is prepare yourself first thing in the morning by having a great morning routine. You see, this all started out because I was 27 years old, working on the trading floor at a bank. I was there all day long, 10-hour shifts. You're there away from the house by 12 to 14 hours a day. You get in, you sit there, you eat junk food or takeout food because they bring it to your desk. You're working, high stress, high pressure environment. And I looked around, I'm like, you know what? All the people in my life, they don't work out. They're not so concerned about how they eat. They're trying to indulge and enjoy themselves. And so I said, you know what? I worked out when I was in high school. I worked out because I was in the Army Reserves and I wanted to make sure that I was in good shape for that. Trying to do my best there. And then I get into the working world, which is so different from the world of academia in high school and university. And here I am how do I structure the next 60, 80 years of my life? And so I'm following along with the recipe of the mediocrity of what I see around me. And what happened is that I didn't work out and I ate whatever was in front of me because that's what the family was cooking or that's what was being provided at work. And I just did that. I went with the flow. And 27 years old in that lifestyle, I ended up with high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And so I'm going to talk to you about staying vigilant and the importance of morning routine as it relates to the Bible, which is kind of interesting, right? So I want to talk to you and tell you a bit about my transformation first. And what happened is with this high blood pressure, high cholesterol, the trajectory was looking pretty bleak, right? You're only 27 and things are starting to go wrong inside. I didn't feel like it. I wasn't putting on weight, but my insides were starting to rot. The beginning signs of it were there. And so I had to go to the doctor because my wife had said, hey, go get a physical. And I was like, I don't need a physical. But I went. And the data, the numbers could not be disputed. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do about this? He's like, if you're not careful, you're going to need to go on blood pressure medication. I'm like, I'm not even 30 yet. What does that mean? And so I looked at it and I was like, well, can I make a change? And can I do this? And so I was like, I noticed I was getting winded walking up the stairs to the train station. And I'm like, why am I winded? What's going on? I was always in good shape, right? That wasn't that long ago. 5-6 years ago, I was in great shape. Like, what's the problem? I'm winded. I'm having trouble. And I realized, I'm like, no, this is what happens when you don't take care of yourself. You slowly start to degrade and rot and things go bad. They go very poorly. And so I'm like, okay, what's my first step? I just need one step to start getting back in shape. And I was like, well, I guess I could go for a run. I'm like, great. Put on my running shoes, put on some shorts and a sweater. I get out from my house. I start running. End of my driveway. I run maybe 400 meters to the end of the street, the first stop sign. I am out of breath, completely exhausted, could not go on. I turned around. I've got the sweats going on. I feel like I ate something. I'm allergic to it. I felt horrible. And I turn around and I head back. And I don't know if my body's just one of those bodies where it adapts very quickly. But what happened was it negatively adapted very quickly to me having that pressure on it. And it gave me such a negative feeling. I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. So I was like, well, something has to change. Either I can no longer exercise because that's what my body said is you're not used to this. You can't do this. Or I force it to go do better. And I force it to go do more. And so I did. I was like, well, I'm going to stick with it because that little train when I was a kid said, just stay with it. I think I can, right? And I was like, one more time in my life, I'm going to give it that extra little effort. And I want to read something to you from 1 Peter 5:8-11. It says, stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your family of believers all around the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are. In his kindness, God called you to share in his eternal glory by means of Jesus Christ. So after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you. And he will place you on a firm foundation, All power to him forever. Amen. Now, in this, there are so many amazing things in here. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. I would actually argue a lot of the times our biggest enemy, we don't even know that they're there. They're just slowly creeping in, right? But sometimes they're really loud. And I would say it's almost these acts of sedation, like, let's go see the movie. Let's go out drinking. Let's go to wherever. Let's look at a movie that's highly sexualized. Like, these are negative impacts on our soul. They chip away at us. They're loud and we reach for it, but we need to know that they're not good for you, right? That's the enemy. And so it's not about a life of conservativeness, but how does it really impact you, right? You start seeing people all over and they're like, I don't even watch movies anymore because the imagery is so strong and so vivid. And we often ignore how it impacts us because we're like, well, I can watch violence. That's no problem. I'm a man. And we don't realize that, you know what, it actually has an emotional impact on us. We've just become desensitized to the point where we ignore those feelings. But if you look and you ask, they're still there. We've just masked over them because I'm a man, right? Like, maybe it's not so good. But that doesn't mean I can't use force to protect my family. What it means is that I have to be aware of my emotions day to day. And so here's the other great one. Towards the end, they say, so after you have suffered a little while, he will restore, support, and strengthen you. Now, I think many people misunderstand what a little while means. A little while can mean just a little while. Like, are we talking seconds, minutes, hours that you have to suffer in order to get support and restoration? No. For me, it was about a decade. And it was a journey of fitness back to it. I'm running 100-mile runs right now. I came in 6th place on my last one in the fall. Not because I was trying to, but just because I was on a journey of exploration to see what the next level is. So my running went from running to the end of the street and failing to being able to run to 2 streets over, to run to 3 streets over, to being able to run 1 kilometer. Like, this is the simple faith, right? Of, if I do these actions, I will get results. But it takes time. And it can take a long time because depending on where you're starting, it can take a while. And in the beginning, you might see some good results. But this is the problem, is that those results often become not known, that you are increasing and you're getting better, but they seem smaller and then we don't notice them as much. But if you pay close attention, you are getting better. So allow yourself the opportunity to go try, to fail, to suffer, and know that you are getting better, because every time we do something, we are getting better. The longer you wait in between doing something, the worse you will get. Our memory will fade, our body will atrophy. It's just a natural recycling into the earth. And if we continually build it, it will grow, right? So how long? I am 15 years into this journey of fitness. And in 15 years, I love where I'm at. I love the look of my body. I love the feel of my body. I love the capability of my body. I know, and the people around me know, that if stuff hits the fan, who do they call? I get the call. And while I wish that they were more capable themselves, I'm leading by example. And I can lead by example by just one little step at a time. And it didn't take all this time, and they were not supportive along the way, right? Because remember, it says that you suffer a little while, and then he will restore, support, and strengthen you. But what happened is that the people around me didn't support what I was doing because it was different from them. I think they felt bad about where they were and the lack of action. I think they felt bad about the heights that I was hitting. I think they looked at me and said, can they do what I'm doing? And I would say, yes, they can. But from where they're currently at, no, they can't. Just like in my first run, I couldn't run a 10-kilometer run. It would not have been possible. I would have thrown up. I would have felt horrible. I would have needed 2 weeks off. It was brutal. But now I run 10Ks every day. Like, I could run one every day. It wouldn't be much of a problem. Wouldn't think much of it. It's just where you're at to slowly build and build and build. For me to go run 50 kilometers on a weekend in one run, not a big deal anymore. It used to be. It's not anymore. I've been slowly, consistently building over 15 years. So I want to talk to you about a little bit of a morning routine, one that you can easily implement across all areas, and based on this. So if you're looking for a little bit of suffering, just to put in little baby steps that the suffering doesn't feel so big, but you know you're making progress, then this is how I do it. So first thing I do, I wake up, I listen to a morning prayer. You know, you can check out any podcast and they're going to have 5-minute prayers. Lots of great people out there. I'll listen to it. I'll journal my takeaways. Quite often, I'll just put it in. I have like a little app that I use, copy and paste the verse that they were talking about. Then I journal about what I was interpreting and how I might implement it. This is all about action, of course, right? Because we can listen to the words of God and we can talk it, but what we want to do is live the life that God wants for us, right? So this is about that. When my kids get up over breakfast, quite often I'll sit down, I'll grab the iPad, we put on a cartoon. There's a great YouTube channel called Minnow Bible Studies Stories or something for kids, something like that. And we will watch a 5-minute cartoon, have a discussion. What happened in it? So what are the facts about it? What do we learn from it? And then how can we apply that in our lives, right? What happened? What did we learn? How can we apply it? Why, lesson, apply, right? It's very simple. And that's gotten some of our spiritual cup filled up. We've now consumed and fed our soul. The next thing, I work out before the kids wake up quite often, because this is the only time I have during the day. So I'll go work out. When they get up after breakfast, after morning prayer, we will go through and they will have a movement of some sort. This morning was boxing and Muay Thai, just getting together. I have some pads for them. The other days it's like push-ups or pull-ups, or we'll go for a run around the block. And it's not long, but it's just movement to get them moving, right? Get their blood flowing, get the oxygen moving, so that when they get to school, they're primed and ready to go. And they're filled with their soul. We've had conversations. We've had a chance to connect. I've had opportunities to praise them. We'd be like, good job, good job. Yes, that is what happened. Good job. And what do you think about this? We're going to have dialogue back and forth. It practices their conversation with us. Next thing, eat something green, right? Simple stuff. And so if you can go ahead and eat one leaf of lettuce, a little bit of kale, whatever it happens to be, grab a handful of spring mix, eat it, put it on a sandwich, whatever you're eating for breakfast, just try and eat it, right? Like get something green in first thing in the morning. Simple rule, but I live by it. These days I have blueberries and I cut up a little piece of kale and I just sprinkle it in, right? Just real fine. And it's my healthy stuff first thing in the morning, first thing I eat. It's great. Next thing is I learned something about business. So if you're an employee, maybe you want to learn about how to update your resume or networking, or maybe if you're in sales, you want to learn more about sales. If you're in any role, maybe communication, right? And all of these things bleed over into our daily lives. How do I communicate better with my kids, with my spouse? What are the things that I'm doing to improve myself, right? So those 4 simple things: morning prayer, workouts, something green, and something about business gives you a great start to the day, so you can go and live and be vigilant and ready for when the devil starts knocking and you face those difficulties, because your suffering will be less because you are prepared, because you've already suffered, right? You do the suffering now, you don't have to suffer later. And that's the important part about this. So I hope this helps. This is living the 24 hours in a day, the other 6 days that we aren't in church, how I live it just a little bit closer to the Bible. I want to end you off with a song like I always do. The last song is called Slave to Nothing by Zach Williams. The lyrics are, "You can tell me what I did. You can show me who I was before. Where I fell short, hang it over my head, but I am not the same anymore. One thing's for sure, the shackles have fallen, so I'm showing shame to the door. Make no mistake, I'm a slave to nothing." And that's the thing, right? So if you just say, I may have had this lifestyle in the past, I forgive myself, I'm pushing it away, I'm showing shame to the door about how I showed up in my relationships, inside my body, inside business, at work, the money situation that I have, I'm not going to hold that shame anymore. I'm going to kick it to the door, and I'm going to go take one simple step to make your life a little bit better, because that's what God wants. And it's beautifully put. So remember that no matter where you're starting today, God forgives you, and you will have to start again, but you are a slave to nothing. Okay, now go get after your day, get just a little bit closer to God.